Welcome to The Gathering Greenhouse, a podcast to grow together. I'm Steve, and this is Andrew.
I'm Andrew.
And Andrew, what do you do here at The Gathering?
I'm the youth pastor here. I think that's the official title, or is it student pastor?
Either one. You can
Student,
take
youth,
We're
pastor.
not big on titles here, so you can kind of choose the direction you want to go.
Let's say youth pastor. So yeah, been the youth pastor here for now a little over a year now. I think a year, April.
Yeah.
So yeah. Good to be on, man.
Yeah. And what else do you do?
What else do I do? Do you mean like outside of this?
Yes, exactly. I'm kind of hinting towards something.
Okay, yeah.
Do you have another profession?
I teach some of the middle school Bible classes down at Dayton Christian. So immersed in youth all the time. Yeah.
Yep. And I sub there as well. I started subbing when I was the youth pastor here, and school that you're over at DC, because I love that school as well.
Last time you were there, you scared me because I was sitting there doing something like writing a message, and all of a sudden, boom, just knocked my door open. I thought you were a student. I was supposed to like, get out of my room, but then it was you. So yeah.
Okay.
It's always fun seeing you there.
So the cool thing is that your wife was in just a little bit earlier. So we're actually going to play a clip right now from that, because she was here talking a little bit about the women's event that we have coming up. So we'll play it right now. We have a great event coming up at The Gathering that I know a lot of people are excited for and been planning for. Sam, could you tell us a little bit about why you're here and what we're talking about today?
Yeah, so we are having what we're calling a Women's Night of Restoration. And it's just going to be a time to come together as women of The Gathering and friends, if you'd like to invite friends, and just have some time for fellowship and community. But we're also going to have some time of worship and growing together spiritually, as well as within community.
Okay. So who's the intended audience? Who do you want to come?
Yeah, any woman of The Gathering. Like I said, you're welcome to invite friends.
Yeah. Are kids allowed to come?
We will not have childcare.
Okay. But they can come still, or you'd rather not? You'd rather just be an adult?
Yeah. So what our team kind of decided is if a mom is needing childcare and doesn't have like those connections, we do have some options as far as like different teens and stuff that we've had personally babysit our children. Yeah. And we can give them that contact information.
Okay, great. Yeah. So reach out to us if you're in need of some childcare.
My number is on the church center.
Okay, perfect. So reach out if you need some help there.
Yes, definitely.
But it's for adult, not just moms, right?
Nope,
any ladies who are interested in coming in a night of restoration. So maybe give us a little, like, what is the flow of the night? What might it look like?
Yeah, so we're going to start the night with some pampering.
Oh.
I'm trying to keep that a little secret.
Nice.
It's going to be really nice. We're excited about that part.
So secrets.
Yes.
Some surprises.
Yeah, surprises.
Okay.
And then we're going to have food, some light refreshments, appetizers, that sort of thing. And then like just some time to chat and get to know. I know a lot of times for me on Sunday mornings, I'm chasing children. So it is kind of hard sometimes to talk to the other women of the church. Yeah. So just some time for that. And then we're going to have a couple of worship songs, a little bit of a message, devotional thing. And then we're going to end just with some time of quiet.
Okay, great. Quiet reflection. That's always great. Okay. So where will this be? When will this be? And do people need to register?
Yes. So it's going to be here at the church on May 12th from 6 to 8. There is a registration on Church Center. So obviously, when we're talking food and all of that, preferably, yes, register. If last minute, like you have a friend that's going to come or don't, bring them anyways. Yeah. But we would really love you to register just so we have an idea of numbers. And then, 6 to 8.
Great.
May 12th.
Great. So make sure you check out all the details on Church Center app. You can register there. So please, if you're listening to this, you should be registering. You should be inviting your friends, hopefully in time to register. But don't let that stop you from coming.
Exactly.
If you're like last minute, plans open up, definitely show up.
Yes.
We're looking forward to it. We're excited for a women's event here.
Me too. It's going to be a good time. You don't have to bring anything. Yeah. I forgot to say that.
Okay. This is totally off the topic here, but side question since I have you here.
Okay.
What is the deal with brunch? Why do women like brunch so much? Can you explain this to me? Are you a brunch person?
I'm not a brunch person at home
isn't it just breakfast food at lunch?
Yeah, but I think it's just fancier.
Okay.
It's fancier to say you're getting brunch than like, oh, I'm going to go out for breakfast with my friends or lunch with my friends.
Does it just add some excitement because it's brunch?
Yeah, maybe.
Or is
and
it
it's like a different time of the day, and so like it's kind of out of the ordinary maybe.
Should we try Brenner?
Brenner? We have Brenner all the time at my house. Like it's our go-to. Actually,
Men
on
can
Sunday
go
nights
out with each other for Brenner.
Yeah.
Women can do brunch.
There you go. Sunday nights are our Brenner nights at our home. Yeah.
Will there be any breakfast foods at?
I don't think so. That's a
Because
question.
I guess that'd be
for
Brenner
Jan
foods.
Austin,
Oh.
but
All
yeah.
right. Well, thanks for joining us, and make sure you check out the Night of Restoration. Thanks.
All right. Well, that is some awesome information and a much better looking co-host than me, if I got to say, sitting here. Than me,
I mean,
so.
I'm not no comment for me because but yes, she's
Yeah,
a lot easier to talk to.
Yeah. Well, she's really excited about that. So all women, make sure you come to that and register for that. It's going to be a good time.
Yeah, I don't think she's going to have any problem with ladies coming to the women's event. I think there's a lot of excitement about it.
Yeah. Especially if they're moms,
Yeah.
get away from the kids and get to hang out with the ladies every once in a while. So yeah.
Right.
So.
Okay, cool. Well, I got some questions for you.
All right, man.
Today. I don't know if there's, you can fill in yourself if you have some other things that you want to talk about. So my question to you is, why did you go into youth ministry? Where was your passion there?
Yeah, so youth ministry, the reason why I went into youth ministry, I was a PK, so I was a pastor's kid.
Mm-hmm.
My mom
is your dad still a pastor?
No, it's my mom.
I'm sorry, your mom.
Yeah, my mom.
You just said that and it went in one ear and out the other. Sorry.
Basically, she's a director of a preschool right now at a church.
Yeah.
Very involved with ministry still, and still speaks at kids' camps and different things. So my whole life was ministry, especially children's ministry, because like you're there from the get-go and like last to leave as well. So that really like instilled like this passion in me for ministry. But it was when I was in youth is where my like faith really started to grow and become my own. And so as I was getting further along in high school, I started to feel like maybe ministry is what God's wanting me to do because I have a passion for it.
Like about what grade level would you say you're in?
It was when we moved to Arizona. Because we moved to Arizona, I was about 15 or 16. Now, I graduated, fun fact, a year early in Arizona, so I don't know what year to say. Sophomore, junior.
Because you were really smart?
Yeah, that's it.
Or they wanted to get you out of the school quicker?
No, I always tell people it's because I'm smart, but it's not. It's because when I did 1 year in Kentucky, and when I moved to Arizona, I already half the amount of credits I needed to graduate in Arizona.
Right. That's kind of like John. He graduated in 6th grade, but then we found out Missouri only goes to 6th grade.
I was teach good.
They learned him really well there.
I was home teach.
So yeah, that's why I graduated. But yeah, it was around that time where the church really allowed me to, use gifts and be able to like lead middle school groups and stuff like that. That I felt kind of a call into youth ministry.
Great. That's cool. So my story is not that at all, but I grew up in the church and in youth group, but like a lot of students, 10th grade, like really more like 11th grade is when like some of my friends in the youth group who were older left, and I just wasn't as interested in going. Parents didn't really force me to go. So like I stopped going to youth group and kind of like turned away and was like, I don't know about this. I don't know. And it wasn't really till college that I actually like feel like I like, not only was I like said I was a Christian, but I lived it out in my life. So for a good portion of that time there, I was just doing my own thing, didn't care about God.
Yeah, so we're like opposite because mine started in high school, but then I ran from it in college and was like, I don't think I'm good enough. And then, that's a really long testimony there.
Right,
but
right.
So you were in youth ministry for how long?
I was in youth ministry close to 10 years.
10 years?
Yeah.
All right. That's about where I'm at right now is 10 years.
Okay.
So, yeah. Very cool, man.
Yeah, cool. I still love youth ministry, honestly. I mean, that's why I still sub. I love students. It's just such a cool time in their life, and they're so impressionable and they need guidance. And that's what I love about that age period. But oftentimes, I don't know if you experience this. Oftentimes when I'm like, high schoolers are the kids that I like the most. People are like, Good. I'm glad that you do, like kind of like that. I'm like, I don't know. I love them. So
see, yeah, I love all students. And I think like once you're a youth pastor, if you're a youth pastor for more than 2 years, like you always have like a youth pastor's heart. Like I see those pastors, you can tell when they've been former youth pastors because they just love youth ministry as well. But I lean towards like, I love middle school sometimes because I always say like middle school still like they're starting to mature, but they're still like,
so like
let's go do something crazy. Yeah.
Sixth grade. You love sixth graders.
Yeah.
I feel like that's one of the most difficult, they're still very impressionable and like they're so excitable that if they like you, you're like, they're going to think you're amazing no matter what you do.
Yeah. They think I'm cool. Like maybe that's it. Well, actually, no, they don't think I'm cool. They don't
they
think I'm
you're
cool at all.
Cool. They definitely think you're cool.
But yeah, youth ministry is awesome. It's been great doing it here as well, man. So
yeah. Okay. And how long have you been here at the gathering?
Little over a year. I think, what was it? Is it April that we moved here?
Has it been a good fit for you so far?
It has been. It has been a really good fit. Love it here. This church really is, like I think David said it many times, like really healthy church, and it is. Like, in the interview process, you're always told like this is a really healthy church. And
it's such a wonderful place.
And you're kind of like, yeah, okay.
What are my other talking points?
Okay, but then like when you get into it, it's like it really does have a healthy culture here, and the youth ministry right now is just it's awesome.
Yeah,
so
it's true now. When we hired John, we had to lie to him. I was kidding. I'm just kidding. We didn't. That was a joke. Internet world. Okay.
Insert.
All I'm saying is I got fried chicken, but Andrew got
Spaghetti
Warehouse.
Okay, we didn't have the same budget when we hired you.
With Spaghetti Warehouse and Cheesecake Factory.
And Cheesecake Factory.
Yeah.
So I'm about to quit and reapply.
Well,
that's probably why I took the job, honestly. I was like,
here's where we went to like the Chop House. I don't know if that's what it was, but it's like a fancier steakhouse kind of place. So it just tells you they were desperate for me to come here at that time. We were still desperate when we needed you, John, but just not quite as desperate. And then we had a little bit more money when you came.
Yeah. Lure you in with the spaghetti and cheesecake.
Yeah.
They just looked at me like, that guy likes fried chicken.
I don't even know what to say there. Everybody loves fried chicken.
Oh, at least where was it from? What kind of fried chicken? Kroger.
Kroger. But to the defense, Kroger does have really good fried chicken.
They do, honestly. They honestly do.
But it is funny that it was Kroger.
Those
it's like cheapest fried chicken.
Does Kroger do the potato? I call them potato logs. Some people call them different things, like
potato logs.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, the wedges.
But they're like the full size of like the potato. Like, have you ever seen those things?
Yes.
Oh, they're amazing. Some of them, I forget. There's different names from them, but.
I think
I
thought it was like a wedge that he was talking about. It's like. But
I'm talking like massive, like
the size of a potato.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, but you've had that.
Yep, those I feel like JoJo's. Yeah, those go really well. Giannino's has great JoJo's. I know that's over by where you live, but I grew up with Giannino's. Did you too? Matt did too. Matt's from Northeast Ohio, like I am. So
JoJo's were the thing.
Giannino's people.
Janino, I don't know what that is.
It's in Kettering. That's the only one around here I know of. But
so youth ministry, fried chicken, pizza.
We're just getting off topic now. So what is your favorite part of youth ministry? What's your favorite thing to do?
Yeah. So that's probably changed over the years.
Besides the endless pizza and Mountain Dew.
Yeah, I always joke with people. I'm like, hey, it's a job where you get to eat pizza and throw dodgeballs at teenagers. It's great, right? But really, like I said, it's probably changed over the years, but I love the relationship aspect of it. Especially some of those kids that come in that you tell like are kind of like not sure about it and may seem like they're on the outskirts a little bit to almost making my job like I'm gonna get them to talk to me and figure out some kind of a connection. And so that's always my goal is like look at them and like find that connection of something I have in common with them.
Yeah.
And then be able to have that to keep building a connection, whether it's video games, sports, art, music, find something. But I think that right now, and probably for the most part, the relationship and building those relationships and trust. Because I think teens aren't going to listen to you or care much until you build that trust with them first.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what about you? I want to know what did you love about youth ministry?
Yeah, well, I was going to say one thing. So what you said is like like kind of a important youth ministry quote. So I've heard a little bit different. They won't know much. They won't care how much you know till they know how much you care.
Yeah.
And I think that's true in everywhere in life, honestly, but especially true with students. And then when you get into high school, it's for sure, because like they don't really want to like let down their guard till they know they can trust you. Like you will come across as a teacher until they're like, oh, this guy's cool, I can trust him. Like that's what I love, is I love the building relationships. I love talking. Like that's partly why I love subbing so much, is because I don't have to really do much teaching when I go there. Rarely do I actually teach.
Yeah.
I go there just for the relationships, and when I show up, I'm often like pray that I'm like, God, if there's a student that needs to talk to me today, just provide that opportunity, provide the words to say, because I've had some really great conversations with students. They're just about life, like. Yeah. They'll share. I'll ask them about their parents, their family, their church, school, what they like in school, what they don't, and I'll just in conversation, I'll subtly like give advice and stuff like that. But I try to do it like really relational, really natural, and just be like, you're hearing this from another adult, which, as we know, that parents are the most influential by far, but having other adults is extremely important for kids and for them to maintain their faith as they get older, hearing it from other adults other than their parents. So to get back to your question, my favorite part of youth ministry. So I didn't get to do it so much here. I tried to do it here, but I didn't get as much traction with it. But it was, I love doing the summer mission trips. I used to do those. Yeah. That was like, I use that as, our time to like get away, our time to like bond as a youth group, to serve other people, to set that example. But it was also kind of like a passing the baton to the next group. So I'd often have like the outgoing senior class really take part in like leading things and leadership. So they would kind of like help with some of that, like who's the next group that's going to come up and take over that thing. So it's harder now. Like that was back before I had kids, so it was a lot easier to take a week off and like really be focused on the students. But I mean, there were years where I was taking 70, 80 kids on mission trips over the summer, and that was awesome.
Well, there's something about mission trips. I always said that like is the best bonding experience. There's something about going with a group of people for a week and serving and not thinking about yourself that grows you closer together, grows you closer to God, but also instills this like love for serving. Because, some kids just never get that experience. And then like you take them out and then show them like, down the road, there's people that may have it a lot more difficult. But so that week can do a lot of things right there. So
and I remember one year, I was taking a group of students to like a local mission trip, and I got the flu like literally like the day before. I was so sick, but there was no one I could pass a trip off to. Yeah. So I just had to just deal with it. And of course, I got assigned like roofing. We re-roofed so I had the flu. I was getting no sleep because it's, you're sleeping on the floor for these mission trips. And I had to do like roofing in the sun all day.
I always said there's something about like youth ministry. I'm like, God gives us like energy. Cause like even right now, like I'm like in my low 30s now. I just turned 32 the other day. I said, but like, I started this when I was like early 20s, like at 20 years old. When we go on these trips and retreats, you're not going to sleep. It's going to be all day long, like mentally with these kids, physically. And I'm like, any other day I couldn't do it. But for some reason, like when you go on these things, like you just have like unlimited amount of energy and patience. I'm like, man, I think God just gives us energy when we need it during those times. Cause there's times I'm like, I don't know how many, like it's 4 o'clock in the morning right now. And these boys are still talking in this room right now. Right. So it's cool.
Yeah. So I have a question. I'm going to kind of skip ahead in my questions here. Yeah. And I'm going to circle back. But because I think this is really important, so I want to kind of get to it a little bit earlier. What's the most challenging aspect of working with students? Like, what's the biggest issues that students are facing that you feel like you need to address or impart wisdom into? What would you say that is?
Yeah, so that changes a lot, and that's the biggest difficulty with youth ministry is the changing culture with youth ministry, because culture in youth ministry changes so much. And so when I think back to when I was a teen, teens today are experiencing so many different things, right?
Yeah.
And I think today it's an identity crisis and identity issues of the world telling our teens, like, you have to identify with something.
Yeah.
Like, whether it's something that you're good at or whatever it may be. And they're already in a stage, like we talked about this a little bit ago with teens, they're already in a stage where they're trying to figure out, who am I? Well, now I think the world knows, like, hey, we could go after them and say, hey, you should identify with these things. Whereas, like, no, it's like you need to find your identity in Christ and who God created you to be. But I think that's one of the biggest issues with, like, social media and relationships in general, is just like that identity crisis, which I think we could probably say spans across all the years, our identity issues with teens. So
it does, but until you are comfortable with who you are, then really you're going to be lost.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's why that's such a big issue with teens. Not that all adults have it figured out, but they've been through more ups and downs in life, and they tend to know a little bit more about, like, hey, even though it feels really low right now, that it's not always going to be like that. So finding your identity, and middle school and high school years are tough.
Something about high school, I've told teens this before. It's like there's something about that 4 years, that things within that 4 years matter so much. But as soon as it's done, it doesn't matter at all. Life changes so much. So, like, I get it. Like, I feel for them, because I'm like, that's your life and what you're going through. But just know that, like, after you graduate, like, that stuff doesn't matter as much anymore. And
I feel like there's not, the schools really aren't talking that much about it, because they don't have time to, right? Yeah. They have to teach the subjects, but I don't feel like there's a lot of people in students' lives that are telling them, like, hey, it's gonna be okay.
Yeah.
You know, what you're going through right now is difficult and tough, but it's not going to be like that for the rest of your life.
Right. It gets better.
It gets better. Definitely gets better. Right?
Yep. Not always, but different issues, different ages, right? Different issues at different ages. Yeah,
exactly.
So, but I think that's the biggest issue, is just that identity and what social media has done. There's a lot of good things with social media, but I think with teens, sometimes relationally, it sometimes can be more of a hindrance too.
Yeah. So if there was, like, a student here in front of us today who was like, hey, how do I find my identity? What would you say to them?
Oh gosh. Well, the first identity, you're created to be in a relationship with God first. And you can't know what your purpose is until you're in a relationship with him.
Until you know who created you.
Yeah. Right, yeah. And so, like, I always tell people, like, you're created for a purpose. And we know that by looking at in Scripture, that God has a purpose even before you're born, even before you're conceived. If you want to know what that is, you got to be in a relationship with him first. Yeah. The closer you get to God, the better you understand who you are.
Yeah.
So
you were created with purpose and design, and God wants the best for you. But you got to start. It all starts with a relationship.
That relationship, because that's the very first purpose in our lives, is to be a relationship with our Creator.
Yep. Great. Okay. Next question here for you.
These are really good questions, by the way.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Who was the biggest influence in your life? And I might have a follow-up question.
Okay. Are we just like in life in general?
I'm saying in life in general, yeah. Who is the biggest
Do I have influence? To pick one person?
So you have to pick one right now, but there might be a follow-up question with it.
Okay. My mom. Yep. Definitely my mom. Only because her being the children's pastor, and, like, I'd go with her to, like, travel to do VBSs and camps, and seeing her passion and love for kids and the work she put into it. She's been my biggest influence. So, hi, Mom.
Yeah. So would you say it was more of the words that she said to you, the things that she said to you, the things that she taught you? Or would you say it was more just observing some of the things that she did?
Both. Both, definitely, for sure. And yeah, I mean, just watching her and the way she did things and the way she encouraged me, but also the way she disciplined me as well. Like, she walked a really good fine line of grace and truth and doing those things. And, you know, we don't always get it right, but she's just watching her. She's my role model in life as a parent and in ministry. So
I kind of thought you might answer it that way. And that's great. That's awesome, because that actually proves a point. So parents and grandparents that are watching this, you are the biggest influence on your kids' lives. Like they interview, you know, high school students who, you know, like don't want anything to do with their parents. What do they say? Their parent is absolutely still, even though they don't express it, the parent is still the biggest influence. And when you can't express those things because your kid maybe doesn't want to listen to you or thinks they know better, right? Your actions still express, you know, what you're trying to teach them.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It is funny talking to kids. It's always the parent or grandparent. Yeah. And that's why I was like stuck, because I'm like, my second one's probably one of my grandparents that I actually lived with for 7 years too. So yeah.
So who in your, you know, in your youth ministry life or student ministry life, is there someone you'd say, hey, in the church world, this person was the biggest influence on me?
There's been several really good mentors in my life that I've had. He might watch this sometimes, but his name is Ben Smith. Okay. He was a youth pastor in Worcester, Ohio for a long time. But then when I went to the last church I was at, which was a big church. I could just
say you said that very Ohio-like.
Yeah, well, when I moved to Mount Vernon, I said, what is this, Worcester?
Yeah.
And they're like, no, it's Worcester. It's Worcester. But he was there because he had retired out of youth ministry, and he still calls me once a week to the day to say, hey, man, how's it going? And so I would say, like, in ministry-wise and as a youth pastor, he was awesome. So yeah. Ben Smith, thank you.
So I've heard it said that if you ask someone, hey, what were the top 5 sermons you've ever heard, that you probably couldn't even list those, right?
No.
But if you say, who are the top 5 influences on your life, you could probably rattle off more than the top 5, right? You got a lot. And I think that's to the point of like how important other people are in our lives to actually influence us and change us and mold us. And that's why kids in student ministry are so important, because it's all about those relationships that they build.
Absolutely. Well, and one of the best advices I ever got going to youth ministry was, it was another pastor, Dave. He said to me, be yourself. He said so many
advice.
He said so many young youth pastors want to go in and be that crazy guy who does all the crazy games and everyone loves him. He's like, but if that's not you, they see right through fakeness. So be you.
Or you have an ulterior motive, like you want to do really well because maybe you're trying to get to the next step, or you know, you just want everyone to love you so much that you like, they call that kind of a try-hard youth pastor.
Yes.
You can see you can see those, and I've definitely met a few of those, and like you're right, like they'll see straight, especially high school students, they'll see straight through that.
Yeah. So I always tell our leaders coming into youth ministry too, like, just be yourself. Because like, you know what? A kid may be able to connect with you better than it can with me. So be yourself and be there and be willing to be there for the teens. So
yeah. Great. Well, I think that's all we got today, unless you have something that you more that you wanted to talk about. I know you had some dates there.
Yeah, so we do have
to talk about.
We do have an awesome summer for all the teens, 6th through 12th grade. So let me just give you some dates. Summer Palooza, it's our big summer party. It's June 30th. We're gonna have laser tag, archery tag, snow cones, cotton candy, silent, all the stuff. So come to that. It's gonna.
I went to that event last year. Super fun. Tons of students there.
Yeah, it's a good time. All invited. So you don't have to come here. You can just bring a friend with you. Paint Wars is August 13th. That's like our end of like summer thing that we do. And then are doing a summer serve this year. And that is July 29th through 30th, where we'll be going and serving around Cincinnati and Dayton area.
Great. So that's posted on Facebook. Yep. I just put it onto the Church Center app as well. So if you want those upcoming dates, and I think it's in the youth page
yes, it is.
Okay, cool.
So you can find it on all youth social media as well.
But there's going to be, we're just kind of teasing summer dates right now, because it feels today like we're way far away from summer, even though we're not. But those are all like June, July, August kind of dates that are coming up. So we got a fun summer planned in youth ministry.
Well, and summer gets busy, so save those dates now, so that way you leave those open as well. So So yeah, I appreciate it, man. Thank you for it.
So one follow-up question with that is, so when it comes time to go, do they just show up? Do they need to sign up for anything? Or how will it work to get involved in those activities?
Yeah. So Summerpalooza, you just show up. We don't have any registration. We just show up and have a good time. It's all free. Bring some friends. Summer Serve, you will have registration coming up for that as well, because we'll have transportation down to Matthew 25 Ministries on Saturday.
Oh, awesome.
Is where we're serving. So those will be coming up online here soon, and you'll be able to get all that info. But Paint Wars is also show up. So most of our events this summer just show up and have fun.
You don't necessarily have to register for it.
Right.
Just show up. Okay. Yep. Great. So check out the community group for the dates, or check out the Church Center app so you're all up to date and you save those dates. So thanks for spending some time with us, Andrew. And for all you watching, we appreciate it, and we will see you again soon. Thanks.